Afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, April 21, 2024. Till 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We all know that human life is a series of experiences. When we have little awareness of our predicament, experiences feed our attachments and condition our desire for more experiences. Our perspective changes. We begin to sense, even momentarily, the unity of all things and our identity with the self. We start to see each experience as a teaching to be brought into awareness and loved until we are free from being captivated by the experience. As we begin to awaken, experiences lead to reflection and contemplation. Then, as we become more aware, experiences become a fire of purification, a burning ground of the ego, grist for the mill of developing consciousness, food enabling the emerging soul to break free of its bonds. What is the nature of the mind stuff that keeps us in our egos? Ego attachments may be habits of thought, the residue of experiences, desires we've developed and reinforced, or that have been implanted, even unconscious urges and tendencies. Changing thought forms and feelings, we label a self, our ego. This sanguine idea of self is just that, an idea, a description of how we're doing at the moment. Self-inflated or disappointed, a conglomeration of thoughts, feelings, and concepts that changes all the time. One morning you wake up thinking about enlightenment. The next morning you wake up thinking about world politics and environmental disasters. The next day, you're anxious about getting something done. These temporal experiences that form our ego are like flickering images of a passing show. Each one seems real at the time, but they keep changing. One of the first steps in getting free of the attachment to this ego idea is to develop a witness. We have thousands and thousands of me's, but there is one me that is separate and watches all the other me's. It's on a different level of consciousness. Not just another role, part of the heart-mind. This witness is your leverage in the game. The witness me isn't trying to change any of the other me. It's not an evaluator or a judge. It's not the superego. It doesn't care about anything. It just observes. There she or he is doing that again. That witness place inside you is your centering device and your rudder. The witness is part of your soul. It's witnessing your incarnation, this lifetime, from the heart-mind. It's the beginning of discrimination between your soul and your ego. Your real self and yourself in the incarnation. Once you begin to live in this witness place, you begin to shift your identification from the roles and thought forms. As you witness yourself, the process becomes more like watching a movie than being the central character in one. As you begin to dwell in self-awareness, the old identifications with the ego roles begin to just fall away. You shift your identification from the eternal roles and attachments. No internal awareness to internal awareness. It's a being thing, not a doing thing. You don't do anything. Zero. A lot of people have issues with that. They start to feel guilty. I got to be doing something. And how do we give up attachments? You can give things up, or you can wait until they give you up. The ego is based on what? What is our ego based on? Fear. But the soul is based on love. As we witness our ego stuff, one way to release it is to constantly offer it into the fire of love in your heart. I am loving awareness. Now, a mantra I've used to get into witness awareness, you see the ego from the God perspective is, I am a point of sacrificial fire held within the fiery will of God. I am a point of sacrificial fire held within the fiery will of God. As we continue with our sadhana, as meditation deepens, we identify less and less with the ego, and we begin to touch and enter more deeply into the space of love. We begin to experience love toward more and more and more people, and find love in the experiences that come into our field of awareness. Now, when you say to somebody, love everybody, right? A lot of people say that they can't. But see, the I can't, right? And that feeling you get when someone poses that question to you, that's your ego talking. Love everybody. Okay? And you get that feeling, that's the ego. In the moment, you will see your dying ego and what you are becoming. You may even see a coffin and your old self in the coffin. And you realize that you are no longer going to honor your ego. And as you keep giving up the habits that hold you back from loving, the ego's fear of letting go dissolves in the love. From the ego's vantage point, you surrender into love. From the soul's vantage point, you are coming home. Boundaries of separation are fading, and the two are becoming one. As we begin to enter into oneness and to become love, instead of perceiving from our ego, we're perceiving from our soul. We are shifting our identification from ego to soul. We don't kill our ego. We kill our identification with our ego. And as we dissolve into love, our ego fades. We are not thinking about loving. We're just being love, radiating like the sun. That last step requires grace. It's always a challenge for us to deal with our stuff. We can't mask impurities very long. When we suppress or repress them, they gain energy. We all have to deal with our same old karmic obstacles. Lust, anger, confusion, greed. It's the spectrum of impulses and desires that condition our interior universe and our view of reality. We have to take care of this stuff so we can climb the mountain without getting dragged back down. This clearing out opens the door for what? Dharma. In other words, for being in harmony with the laws of the universe on both a personal and social level. Harmony, not disharmony. Now, Dharma, of course, is the opposite of karma. When you do your Dharma, you do things that bring you closer to God, of which you truly are. You bring yourself into harmony with the spiritual laws of this universe. Now, if you really want to know the nitty-gritty of Dharma, Dharma is translated as righteousness. Although that evokes echoes of what? Sin and damnation. More a matter of clearing the decks to be able to do spiritual work on yourself. The behavioral do's and don'ts. Always there's a functional approach to Dharma that is useful without being judgmental. You do what will take you closer to God, which means to who you really are, the one. And don't do what takes you further away. You know, cleanliness or purity, contentment, austerity, study, surrender to God. Even the don'ts are framed as positive qualities to be cultivated. Nonviolence, harmlessness, truthfulness, or non-lying, non-stealing, continence, or being promiscuous, and non-covetousness, or freedom from avarice. There are many subtle issues surrounding these practices, of course, but those are the basics. most of the time when we are seeking the God within, we are completely still and silent. We aren't talking, or we aren't doing the mind chatter thing. Now, as we pass through life on the way to God, what's important is not what we experience, but how we identify with or cling to what we experience. How we identify with it and how we cling to it. Depending on our method, an experience may be figure or ground on our individual path. An experience may become a dominant theme, or it may be irrelevant. For example, it could be anything. You could be studying something, reading something, insight meditation. And you might think it was a big spiritual advance, and that you were thrilled at the prospect, and that your third eye was opening. And that's just blocked energy. It's no use to you. It's like, it's no use. So if it's no use to us, we go out into the garden, run it down our right arm and out through our fingertips and send it into the earth. Now, believe it or not, okay, some of us will see a blue light come out of our fingertips. Okay? And we'll notice that the pressure was gone from our forehead, the stress. Ultimately, every method gets us to the same place. There are many paths up the mountain, but the peak is the same. You don't notice this at the bottom. You don't hear much about the advanced part of most systems because few people get to the peak. Let's say an experienced meditator, right? Long time ago told me that only after he meditated for years was he ready to do metta. The meditation of loving kindness, which opened his heart. He was only ready for the heart after he had quieted his mind. I believe we will all find this our experience as well. On the other hand, if you are a bhakti practitioner, only when your heart is so absorbed in loving the beloved does your mind become capable of merging. You get there from another direction. You go up the mountain from a different side. But the view from the top, where love merges with awareness, is one. From the summit, all these states are available to us. But we're not clinging to any of them. We don't define our many people to expect. So, serve the poor. Who is the poor? Everyone is poor before enlightenment. We all have this propensity to ignore the spiritual and embrace the material. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, material's bad, because it isn't. It's fun. It's enjoyable. We enter it, but we know we aren't of it. Okay? So, it's just like you're going to dive into a nice pool of water, you're going to swim around, and then you're going to get out and dry off. Some of us, however, never get out of the pool, ever. They stay in that pool until they leave the body, which means that they don't ever figure out who and what they are. Now, if you were to look at that and understand that on this planet, most of the people on it don't know who and what they are, then what does that show? It shows you can look and watch without judgment of all of the things currently happening in front of us. We can watch, view. We begin to understand the connection between knowing who and what you are and not. Because when you don't, you usually fall into the ego mind about 99.999% of the time. And the ego mind is your master, without you ever knowing that that's to be the case. And no matter what we do in this life, or the next one, and so on, all of us are on the same journey. Yeah, it may, like I said, it might be up a different side of the mountain, okay? But we all are going to get there. It's an inevitability. And we're moving towards what? To become one. All of us are moving towards the understanding that we are all one. It's like the I am loving awareness, and you might call it a prayer, affirmation. Mantras work in different ways. One kind engages your conceptual mind to take you into a new space. In this case, dissolving your mind into your heart by constantly reminding you to view everything with love. Now there's an old Tibetan mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. Right? If you stay with it, the mind just sinks into the heart. Using a mantra is one practice. It's one in which more is better. Repetition furthers. Other mantras are more purely vibrational, using seed syllables like Om that reverberate on many levels of consciousness. Ram is one of the Hindu names of God that combines both the vibrational and conceptual spheres. You can channel your yearning for God through the practice of Ram Nam, reciting or chanting. See, all these words it's just different languages, but they all mean the same. Period. And when you do these chants, it brings you into the soul. That's the purpose of it. Opening into the unified state. You create a vibrational field that starts in your heart and eventually becomes the universe, taking you into the one. You open a door so that grace can enter in. Right? And you just sit there. Maybe you've witnessed this. And you just repeat it. Ram, 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 Ram. Some of us, wear beads for different reasons. Take our fingers and do mantras. Mantra creates an energized field, which moves us into the one, the God. Ram, all is one. Whatever situation you're in, you bring it into the vibrational field. There's two planes of consciousness operating here. Now, people do this, believe it or not. You might be fingering beads around your neck in the grocery store, and the beings around you are in their roles as customers or clerks, right? But you see them as souls. Because in your soul, you can see their souls. When you can be a soul, identify with your soul, then you can see other beings as souls. And then we become aware to rest in our soul. And that creates a sympathetic vibration with other souls. That's how we really serve God, by bringing others into their souls. And these mantras work on vibrational and conceptual planes at the same time. Repetition of the mantra brings you into the vibrational field of the divine name. Devotion to the God that you are opens you to the heart space of being. And it's interesting to understand is that there's many stories that you can come across in Hinduism, Buddhism, all of these different beliefs. Stories are kind of an analogy. They always end up moving you to discover your soul. Love everyone and serve everyone. And it reminds us to keep looking to see how we can serve. See, if we don't, some people say, wow, what's all this crap for? Well, I don't need to do that. It sounds like religion. And it's far from it. If you don't have the vehicle or the tools of understanding and awareness to move you into the God that you are, then you're going to end up wandering lifetime after lifetime. And you're just not going to understand. Well, a lot of us will go through a life. And, of course, we know we're programmed and we're conditioned, so to speak, to believe certain things, to respond to certain things. Our perspectives are conditioned due to how we have been taught. So if let's say one being teaches you certain things, you emulate those teachings, right? Now, it doesn't matter whether they're on the up and up or on the low, as far as vibrational frequency. But to you, it's what you've learned and what you've been told to do. Okay? And you do it. But then we get to a point, some of us will start to understand, is that it's time for me to reprogram myself. There's no other way. And you do it through meditation day after day after day. And you do it through deep gratitude 24/7. And you do it through being kind, gentle, humble, and generous with yourself every day. And that's forever. It's not short stints. Well, I did this, took care of and that, and I'll move on to this. It's all the time. You are in a state of pure, deep, eternal love. That state gives you the openness and awareness to love everything and everyone. Now, what is the biggest for all of us? Because, again, of our programming, what's our biggest hurdle there? The ego. And we know how we're going to master the ego is by leaving it alone. And you reassure it. So when you leave yesterday and tomorrow in meditation and then you go into the now moment, you're able to watch the ego mind and all its parts, the superego, all of it. But you're able to watch it and understand what its purpose is. Right? What's its purpose? See, why do you think we all have fear? It's like, where does that come? Okay, so I'm a God and I do not die. Okay? I'm an omnipotently supreme being, a super manifester, and I do not die ever. I leave the body and I enter another form. And I do this so I can experience something other than what I am. See? But you always know what you are. And you know that you are not the body and you are not any of this that you have created. And you know that you experience it to do what? To learn. That's it. And we do this all the time. Thousands, millions, billions, trillions of years, we are always doing what? Creating. Sometimes you hear co-creating, right? Well, it's because we're all cooperating and communicating in ways so each one of us is in a co-creation. We're all contributing in many different ways because we are all the one. We are all the God, the kingdom of God. We are the heaven. These are not places, they are not places. They are within us. You see how interesting that when we watch things and we see how things have evolved, as the gods that we are, and that in these physical forms, these physical material forms, then we begin to understand how things came to be, which is very important, because once we discover how things came to be, then we can kind of like shift gears and be who and what we truly are. Because along the way, majority of us don't know that. Not even a clue. So you understand is that when man creates religion, and we're running at about 60-some thousand different religions on this planet, it distracts us. It separates us from the gods that we are. I know that sounds strange to some people, but it does. You can watch all the religions of this planet, and all of them have one common denominator. What is it? The God is outside of you. The power is outside of you, watching you, manipulating you, guiding you. You know, it's like we've all heard the statement, so to speak, or quote, "Thou shalt not worship any other gods before me." Okay? Now, that is man-made. That quote, that statement is man-made. There is no such thing as a revengeful God. It would denote love. Okay? It would eliminate love. If there was a vengeful God, then love would not exist. And you talk about chaos, that's right there at the very top. But the danger is that many of us have been taught this in many different ways. And what does it do? Well, it keeps us in the ego mind, where we generate guilt, fear, anxiety, stress, and worry. You got to feel guilty, right? So what do? We create sin. We create the word sin, and we build around it. And so you're a sinner. You have to absolve yourself, wash all your sins away. And you look at a lot of the different religions and being baptized in the water and going through all these different rituals to eliminate sin. And sin does not exist. Only in the programming of this civilization does it exist. And all it means is that you miss the target. Karma exists, different ways. What is karma? We build it up through lifetime after lifetime. Okay? And so as we build it up, we also have the Dharma. And in some beliefs, you have a Dharma wheel and a karma wheel. But all in all, what it means is that as you have lifetime after lifetime, you build up a negative karma, doing bad things, disruptive, evil, hateful, greedy, all of these things. Eventually, it doesn't matter, even us gods come to the understanding that we must atone to our karma and to clear the slates. You know, you might meet some people that say, right now I'm working on my karma. This is up to us. Say it's not a dictatory thing, it's a choice. Is what it is. And we have that choice. And see, it's funny. because all of these names, Ram, Krishna, okay, just in the Hindu, God. These are names of God. And the Mother Goddess and the Durga. And it was one of the only things we could do at certain times in existence. And all of us are on this journey, to put it bluntly, to discover that we are God in a body. Pure, deep, eternal love. Yet, the irony to it is that when you say to someone, from the heart mind, love everything and everyone, they get very discomforted. And they look at you and say, there is no way that you're going to get me to love that guy or that woman or that kid or that animal or that tree or whatever. And that is purely the ego mind. And the words of all of these chants throughout the ages are called the divine names, and they come from a place in our hearts that's deeper than our thoughts, deeper than the mind. And so as we sing them, they turn us toward ourselves, into ourselves. Okay? Turn us toward ourselves and into ourselves. They bring us in. And as we offer ourselves into the experience, which is a choice, the experience changes us. These chants have no meaning other than the experience we have by doing them. You've heard chants, right? All kinds. They come from these different beliefs, traditions. But it's not about being immersed in those beliefs or traditions or having to believe anything in advance. It's just about doing it and experiencing. Nothing to join. You just sit down and sing. It's quite therapeutic. And you'll find different ways to do it, see. It's not like it's a plain vanilla wrapper, okay? It might be a drum, and you just bang on a drum. You go in nature and you sit there and you bang on a drum. You don't have to be American Indian to bang on a drum. And you take the drum out and you sit out in nature and you bang the drum. It's quite amazing what takes place for you and your awareness. You might be surprised that maybe some of your anger and tension and frustration towards yourself are released. We all carry, we've heard the term, we carry baggage, right? What is that? Well, these are experiences that we've had in our lives that are not really something that we care to pay a lot of attention to, right? We stick it in the subconscious closet, but it keeps playing back on occasion. We don't care to revisit the times we had broken hearts or disappointments in our lives. We aren't going to pay attention to that, but it's there, say. This is our baggage. And rather than saying, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to release this baggage, it does me no good. I've been carrying it for years. And I've seen people, they carry, in differences with people, they'll carry it right to the end and they leave their bodies. And it festers with them throughout their lifetime. Revenge, disappointment, they did me wrong. it's like from the Indian spiritual perspective, okay? This time on earth is called Kali Yuga, okay? Or Iron Age, believe it or not, about which the Tulsidas Ramayana says, another guru, in the age of Kali, neither yoga, concentration of mind, nor the performance of sacrifices, nor spiritual wisdom is of any avail. One's only hope lies in hymning Sri Ram praises, God praises. The power of the name is thus manifest in the age of Kali. It all means the same. It doesn't matter what avenue you research, study, or review. It all means the same. Discover the God that you are within the body. And take counsel with the God that you are from that point forward. Love, at that point, you begin to master the ego mind because you are no longer in yesterday and tomorrow. You are in the now. That's it. There are no worries, stresses, and fears because that's carried in the ego mind through so many of us who get so frustrated with so many things outside of us and so many things within us. Why does the God lover find such pleasure in addressing the deity as mother? Because the child is more free with its mother. And consequently, she is dearer to the child than anyone else. And this is so important because if we did just one of this in this direction, seeing the world as the mother, seeing everything as her manifestation involves a shift in perception. The way you go about your daily life may be the same: eating, sleeping, defecating, reproducing, socializing, gratifying your senses, earning your livelihood, solving problems, contributing to society, relieving suffering, but you see it all as a child sheltered in the loving arms of your mother, who is all creation. The blue sky is her mind. The green leaves pulse with her blood. The wind is her breath. The rain, her water of life. She is Gaia, the earth mother, but also subtler than that. Close your eyes. Imagine that all around you is a luminous mist, a substance finer even than the tiniest quantum of energy, theorized by physicists. It permeates all forms. In fact, all forms are patterns of this mist. This is the living spirit made manifest, the substance of the mother creating our sensible world. Just think of it as another way of seeing. The intense love between mother and child can apply to everyday experience as a way to bring you closer to the beloved. Your attachments, desires, and impurities are also a manifestation of the mother, and that makes it easier to deal with them. In your daily life, you work with all the ways you hold on to your own suffering, to your desires. You are reminded that the play of phenomena is all her play. O Mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Make me drunk with thy love's wine. O thou who stealest thy hearts, drown me deep in the sea of thy love. Here is this world, this madhouse of thine. Some laugh, some weep, some dance for joy. Jesus, Buddha, Moses, Garanga, all are drunk with the wine of thy love. O Mother, when shall I be deeply, eternally loved by joining their blissful company? And seeing everything as the mother. That means us using every detail of life as grist for the mill of our spiritual development. Every experience is a mirror reflecting where we are in our consciousness and our work of the moment. And the compassionate embrace of the mother, the layers of old habits, preconceptions, and residues of past experience can dissolve in the ocean of maternal affection. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Uncontrollable mental chatter is the cause of all suffering in our lives. The moment we stop the mind for even a few minutes, powerful peace-filled energy arises within us. Try it. See. Do it. To become the divine observer of your mind and step back from the 60,000 thoughts that run through your head each day. Simply choose to become the ever-present witnessing observer of each experience. Choosing to be vigilantly aware of this ever-present observer of your mind can make the typical tragic, dramatic day transform into a harmonic symphony of joy and love. For today, devote all your energy to watching the incessant chatter happening inside your mind without buying into its drama. Doesn't matter what the mind does today. Just be a super observer and watch with amazement. Get tangled up in some important thoughts. Don't try to stop them, change them, or participate in them. Simply sit back, even deeper behind your mind, and relax your body. You can find it extremely entertaining to simply watch, listen, and have a good laugh all day long. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. And we'll return here Monday, April 22, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, and purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening within you or outside of you.